Hello, and welcome to the Inspired Living with Ellen Broderick podcast. This week, instead of having a guest who I interview, I am going to share with you one of the practices that I have incorporated in my life for the last 40 years. Meditation I have used, but for the last 10 years, I have used a type of meditation called Yoga Nidra, and have developed a even more specific type of Yoga Nidra called trauma-informed Yoga Nidra. And this can be trauma with a big T or trauma with a small t. It's really interesting. I led guided meditations for 16 years and still do trainings at an open mental health hospital. Very interesting to understand why this particular kind of meditation is really helpful for all of us, but is very in tune with people who have had traumas of one sort or another, and can help people to move through those traumas in a way that I haven't found anything else to do. So what is Yoga Nidra? It is an ancient meditation practice that was started in India 3,000 or so years ago. Could be longer than that. Nobody knows exactly, but yoga means really the yoking together of ourselves with the consciousness of all. So it connects us with all life. And then Nidra is the changing states of consciousness from waking to sleeping to dreaming, and putting these two together. It can be called a yogic sleep. It's interesting to me that trauma can have the effect of our believing that there's something wrong or something broken in ourselves. And there's a feeling that we've done something wrong, or that there is something wrong with us, as opposed to something has happened to me. And that's a very different holding than something is wrong with me. So one of the things that Yoga Nidra does, and this trauma-informed Yoga Nidra does, is to bring us to a place where we connect deeply with the part of us that's never been broken, that's never been disturbed even. And to me, that's a really exciting place to visit. The other thing I love about Yoga Nidra and trauma-informed Yoga Nidra is that it is guided, and you're not left alone with your own thoughts, with your mind's tendency to flee the present moment, but you're actually brought into the present moment in a systematic and supportive way. I find this to be one of the reasons that I'm very drawn to it. So what are the ways that it might help us? It helps us to reduce stress, and it increases the immune functioning. It builds our ability to keep our attention on things for longer, and it helps us to tolerate our feelings. So the other thing that I find beneficial is that our own ability to self-soothe is really harnessed in this practice. And to me, that's another very positive outcome. So what's the evidence for specifically for Yoga Nidra? So the evidence, the scientific evidence, shows that it improves the parasympathetic tone. And that's the as opposed to being in flight or fight or flight, it is being in the rest and digest. And such an important place. And so many people nowadays are stuck in a cycle of fight or flight and don't really know how to switch that lever into the parasympathetic, into the rest and digest nervous system, part of the nervous system. So in this way and other ways, it helps us to reduce stress. It reduces fatigue. It more energizes us. And it also has evidence shows that it has a possible impact on pain outcomes. So these are the reasons that they are showing thus far. And my guess is that in years to come, there will be even more evidence that that this is a beneficial practice. So what I'd like to do now is take you through a guided meditation, and this one will be abbreviated. And then I will also be posting in the coming weeks an assortment of meditations. And the assortment of meditations will be keeping in mind the structure of Yoga Nidra, but also allowing for brief periods when you only have 2 or 3 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to reset, to take a pause in your life, in your day, and reset into a rejuvenated, more productive period of your day. What I do is I'm going to turn my video off so that I'm not distracting you and invite you into the practice. So go ahead and get yourself nice and comfortable. One of the probably the most common way to receive and participate in Yoga Nidra is lying down on your back in what is known in yoga as Shavasana. And I should also say that you don't have to know anything about yoga to enjoy and benefit from this practice. Getting yourself comfortable. You might want to put a blanket over you. You do cool off during the process of Yoga Nidra. And bring your attention to the room that you're in, or if you're outside, to the environment that you're in. Get a sense of the temperature of the air, any particular smells, any sounds that you hear close by or far away. Notice the touch of your body against the surface that's beneath it and where those points of contact are. And then come to your breath. Notice the unique pattern of breathing that you are experiencing in your body right now. And know that the body is speaking to you through the breath. So you're getting a sense of where you are and what you need. So as you're noticing the breath, notice without judgment, as though you were observing from the outside without any need to judge. Is your breath deep and long? Is it short and shallow? Is it somewhere in between? And then notice if it's bumpy or smooth. It might even be smooth for a while and then have a few bumps, then go back to being smooth. Just noticing what is. And then allow the breath to deepen and lengthen, even just a little bit. And notice as you bring your attention to your breath and you elongate it a bit on the inhalation and elongate it a bit on the exhalation. This can bring a sense of well-being. And then bring your attention to your heart and feel or imagine, if you can't actually feel, the beating of the heart and its pulsation in your body. Both the breath and the heart being your constant companions. But how often do we actually bring our attention consciously to them? And as you rest your attention on your heart, allow an intention to arise for this practice today. In Sanskrit, this is called a sankalpa. It's really your heart's longing or your heart's deep purpose. So you might notice something that's missing from your life that you want to call forth into your life, or something that you have an abundance of in your life that you might benefit from releasing. And then form this intention by creating a very brief statement. You want to use present tense and you want to use positive words. So you're stating it as though it's already true. So an example of this would be if you are feeling really anxious in your life, you might create a sankalpa that says, I am relaxed and at ease. So you're stating what you want in the positive and present tense as though it's already true. Whatever your intention is, once you've formed it, then slowly repeat it to yourself 3 times. And then set it aside, but not too far away because we will come back to it later in the practice. We'll do a rotation of consciousness through the body now. And for this, we'll begin with your feet, noticing the soles of the feet and noticing any sensation that you might feel in your soles of your feet. And if you're just beginning this practice, there may be no actual feeling. If that's the case, if there's no mental connection to how your feet feel, then just imagine what they're feeling. And then move your attention to the tops of your feet, noticing the same. What might the temperature be? The vibration? Is there any sensation in the tops of the feet? Notice the ankles, the shins, the calves, knees, thighs, hips, lower torso, upper torso. And bring your attention to your hands, noticing the palms of the hands, the tops of the hands, wrists, forearms, elbows, upper arms, now notice your shoulders, your neck and throat, your chin, and your full jaw. Notice the lips and any sensation inside the mouth. Notice cheeks, nose, eyes resting in their sockets, eyebrows, forehead. Notice the ears and the sides of the head. Notice the crown of the head. Bring your attention to the back of the head, back of the neck, back of the torso, back of the arms, back of the legs. Notice your entire body. And now imagine a place within that has never been affected by anything in your life. It is a place where you can feel at ease, supported, and deeply connected. In this inner space, you are free to release any and all aspects of your life that no longer support you, and sink into the awareness of full support. And remain in this inner space, this inner sanctuary, for the next 2 minutes. Begin to notice your state of being in this inner sanctuary. And call to mind your intention, your sankalpa, and repeat it to yourself 3 or 4 or 5 times. Let it sink into every cell in your body. And then let that go. And bring to mind a feeling or an emotion that has been on your mind recently, that you've been experiencing, maybe troubled by or confused about. And as you hold that feeling or emotion in mind, notice how your body feels. And see if you can do this in the same sort of way as though you're an observer from a bit of a distance, so without judging it. And then let that go. And now bring to mind the opposite, whatever you consider to be the opposite of that feeling or emotion. And as you hold the opposite feeling or emotion in mind, notice what your body's reaction or response is. What does your body feel like? How do you feel in your body as you hold that thought in mind? And then release that. Let's go back to the original feeling or emotion. Notice as you hold that thought, how it feels now in your body. And let it go. Returning again to the opposite feeling of or emotion and noticing how that feels in your body. And then release it. Now, if you're able to, see if you can hold both the original feeling or emotion in mind and its opposite, holding the two simultaneously. And notice how that feels in your body. And then release it. Check in with how your body feels overall right now. And we'll scan a brief scan back through the body, starting this time with the head, noticing the head and face, ears, and back of head. Noticing the neck and the throat. And now noticing the hands and the arms. Noticing the entire torso. Bringing your attention to your hips, thighs, knees, and lower legs. And finally, back to your feet. bring to mind now something for which you are grateful. It could be a person, could be a place, could be a thing. But allow that gratitude to be present for you and allow your body to feel gratitude. And as we move toward the closing of this practice, notice what you would like to bring with you into your day or into your evening or into your night. When you're comfortable, opening your eyes, reorienting yourself to the outer world after this journey in the inner world. Thank you for joining me. Namaste. So I hope you enjoyed that experience of guided meditation. And I hope you'll check out some of the other meditations that I'll be putting on in the next couple of weeks and find if there is one that you particularly like, and you might want to stick with it. Developing a practice of yoga nidra is really beneficial. It can be beneficial just to do a single by itself a yoga nidra guided yoga nidra experience, but it can be deeply beneficial over time if you develop a practice. And the practice can start out very small, and then you can build up to it, build up to a full experience. But some people actually dive right into the full experience and enjoy making their practice a full experience every day. So that's going to be it for today. And thank you for joining me on this Inspired Living with Ellen Broderick podcast. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.